Before we begin, comment down below what country or city you're watching from, and like and subscribe if you hate racist cars. Also subscribe to my second channel where I make more drama-themed videos. Lean in close because I need you to feel this. I built a picnic table with my son's little hands helping. I watched my daughter crown the old oak her castle, and I still ended up on my knees in my own grass with metal biting my wrists. Yeah, that happened. And if you think it started with sirens, let me back up a sec. We moved into Amber Meadows like we'd finally exhaled after a decade of holding our breath. Not rich, just steady, you know what I mean. My wife saves babies for a living. I design logos and grind through deadlines. We weren't chasing status, we were chasing safety. A place where the loudest thing at night is a sprinkler head clicking somewhere down the block. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage backyard, rolling like a green carpet under a century-old oak picture-perfect magazine spread, "Welcome to the Dream." I cut that table myself, my boy sanding the edges till his palms shined. "Daddy, this is our forever table," and I believed him. My girl turned the tree into her castle. My wife's gardenias perfumed the evenings. Motown drifting soft from a little Bluetooth speaker while we played tag in the dusk, and for a minute there, man, we really thought we'd made it. Then the curtain across the street twitched. No big deal at first, neighbors are curious, right? But the gaze wasn't friendly. It was a scan, like I was a barcode, and she was trying to price me. Notes started showing up like tiny paper cuts that never clot highlighted HOA bylaws on our windshield about trash bins. Then the basketball hoop an inch too close to the line. Then fertilizer not on the sacred list. Never a knock. Never a "hey neighbor." Just rules, rules, rules. No signature, no face. My wife said, "Let it go. She's just a stickler," and I tried. I really tried. Until the day she walked her yappy dog past my daughter drawing chalk rainbows and said, "Not to us, but to the dog. We don't talk to them like we were a stain." That word hung there like smoke you can't fan away. The HOA letters came dressed in logos and stiff paper, excessive noise, boisterous gatherings, as if Disney movies and lemonade were turning the block into Bourbon Street. You learn fast that with HOAs, the ghost who calls is protected, and the family who receives it is guilty until silence. We started living like we were in a library. Outside voices turned into inside whispers, music reduced to a heartbeat you can barely hear. And then came the perfect Saturday you see in your mind already. The checkered cloth laid out on our forever table, barbecue chicken corn, the kids laughing, Smokey Robinson playing low enough a squirrel could nap, my wife's smile lighting the yard. And across the street the serpent finally stepped into the sun. Arms crossed, face pinched with a fury that didn't match our little backyard soundtrack, she planted herself at the property line and stared. "Can I help you?" I kept my tone level. "This is unacceptable," she snapped, waving at our speaker in our faces like both were offensive decor. "Ma'am, this is my family and my yard." That's when she lifted her phone, red record dot, blinking like a dare. "You people don't belong here. I'm calling the authorities. Not turn it down, not it's too loud, but removed as in erased." She didn't dial 911 first. She called the HOA patrol, the golf cart deputies who showed up 10 minutes later in tan shirts and big belts. One older one, young and jittery, like he'd been waiting his whole life to say, "Sir," with a frown. They listened to her performance like it was gospel. They've been drinking their aggressive, threatening music, and then turned to me with a clipboard and that tone people use when they've already decided who's the problem. "Unauthorized gathering, excessive noise," they said. "This is my wife and kids," I said, "and a Motown playlist." The younger one stepped off the sidewalk onto my grass, toward my family, toward my wife's arm, circling our daughter's shoulders. My little girl's humming stopped the way a song just dies in your throat. I moved without thinking. body between them, hand up to block his hand. "Don't you dare!" he yelled. "Assault!" The older one grabbed me. My boy shouted, "Leave my daddy alone," and somewhere in the hysteria she fed her camera the shot she wanted: big black man against uniforms, and the switch inside me that says protect at all costs blew hot. The real police arrived with sirens that make the air thin. Hands up down to my knees in grass, I mow cuffs too tight because humiliation likes to announce itself. My wife tried to speak, they told her to get back. No one asked me what happened. The back seat of a cruiser is the same everywhere: plastic heat and the stink of somebody else's night. And I watch the oak, the tablecloth, my son's clenched fists, my daughter's wide eyes, and that woman across the street setting her phone down like a fisherman, finally reeling in the one that got away. Charges: misdemeanor assault, resisting without violence, apparently tensing when a knee grinds your spine, is a crime. We posted bail, hired Mr. Graves, an older black attorney, with the kind of calm that makes rooms quiet. He listened, steepled his fingers, and said, "They've got her video in a story. We need the truth in a better story." Here's where the counterpunch starts, and it doesn't start in a courtroom. It starts with a bulldog in a wrinkled suit and a private investigator named Saul, a gruff ex-cop who smells like coffee and knows how to find what people tried to hide. Public records first: two past neighbors in another town, both families of color, both restraining orders against the same woman for harassment. Then her digital breadcrumbs: years of coded comments about community standards and people who don't act civilized. Twist number one. The thing I didn't see coming came from the quiet man next door, the guy who never waved and never looked up from his roses. He sent our lawyer an email with a clip from his doorbell camera. It didn't show everything, but it showed enough: the patrol stepping onto my lawn first, the younger guard reaching toward my wife, the woman across the street already filming with a smile that wasn't a smile. He didn't want his name public. Fear is contagious, but truth has a way of slipping under locked doors. Subpoenas pulled the HOA's mask-off emails from President Henderson Albright golfing buddy to her ex. Keep a close eye on the new residents. Maintain the character. That kind of sugar-coated poison. Depositions cracked the patrol's bravado. We kind of knew she was a crank, but policy says respond. And then Mr. Graves introduced us to a reporter who loves sunlight more than most plants. Front page Sunday, piece our faces on the steps. Not as victims, but as stubborn survivors. Screenshots of emails, the drawing my son made of our house with bars on the windows, a side-by-side of her HOA halo and her past restraining orders. Amber Meadows learned the difference between a private forum and the front page real quick. With cameras outside the gates and the management company suddenly remembering what risk means, mediation hit the calendar. Picture a glossy conference room, mahogany table long enough to land a plane, lawyers in practice suits, two security guards without their belts, Henderson looking smaller than his title, my wife's hand locked in mine, and at the end, her jittery, without control eyes skittering like flies. The mediator, a retired judge with a voice like gravel, laid out the receipts, emails, depositions, prior complaints. Then Mr. Graves did a surgeon's thing, slow and precise. About the flower beds, he said, "Gardenias from my client's grandmother. What community aesthetic exactly did they violate?" She cracked right there. The mask slid, the bile spilled. He brings his kind. He ruins everything. I'm the one protecting this place. And even her lawyer stared at the table like it might open and swallow him whole. You could feel the temperature shift. There wasn't much left to argue. The settlement numbers were big bills, covered damages, paid the lien threat dead and buried, but the other terms were the real victory. Albright and the entire board resigned. The management contract dissolved. The security company fired. New bylaws drafted with anti-harassment teeth and real bias, training a formal apology from the prosecutor and the woman agreed to sell and never return. On paper, it was decisive, and I won't pretend that didn't feel good. There's a particular relief that comes when people who hurt you have to say the word sorry in writing. But here's the part most stories skip, because it doesn't cut well into a montage. You don't get your sanctuary back with signatures. The oak still throws shade on the table, the grass still looks like a commercial, and yet a shadow rides every sunny day. My son draws superheroes again, but he checks the window before he goes outside. My daughter sleeps through the night most nights except when she doesn't. My wife still grows gardenias, and sometimes I catch her touching the petals like she's saying an apology to her grandmother for ever doubting whether they belonged. We stayed because running teaches the wrong lesson, because we belong is a muscle you build, not a gate you slip through. And still, yes, some evenings I stare at that forever table and wonder if a different zip code would taste like peace. Do I regret fighting? No, not for a second. We used the same systems that nearly crushed us to fix the rot. We turned their rules into our shield. We showed our kids that dignity is action, not a word you post after the fact. But victory is complicated. Justice can pay the bills and still not balance the soul. The last scene I'll give you is simple. Late afternoon, my family around the table again, lemonade sweating down the pitcher, Motown humming just under the breeze, and me raising a glass not to winning but to staying human through the fire. Across the street, a for sale sign where her car used to idle, a new family touring the house with a realtor, their kid pointing at our oak like it's a dragon. The camera pulls back, the sun flares the lens, and somewhere between the light and the scar, we make a choice to keep living here anyway. Now it's your turn. Tell me where you stand. Was staying the right move, or should we have sold and started over? What does real justice look like when a community goes wrong? And how do you fix a neighborhood without breaking yourself in the process? Drop your take in the comments. Agree, disagree. Call out what I missed and share this with someone who thinks HOA rules are harmless wallpaper. Let's talk about right and wrong and the messy space between, because that's where most of us are actually living.